The kings of fluffiness. Maine Coons and Norwegian Forest Cats. Ever wondered which one you should get? Or maybe you just can't see the differences between them? Well, today, that's exactly what I'll do. A spot-on comparison between these two fluffy monsters. Let's begin. And let's start with their size. At this one, Maine Coons win. However, Norwegian Forest Cats, or 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 for short, are very close behind. Maine Coons weigh between 8 and 25 pounds, while 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 are between 8 and 20 pounds. Of course, there might be some individuals weighing even more, but they're exceptions. So if you're determined to have the best chances of getting a giant cat, a Maine Coon looks like the better choice. But frankly, both of them get pretty big. And here's a fun fact: Maine Coons and Norwegian Forest Cats take up to 5 years to fully reach their size. Just remember, big cats need big homes, so make sure you have the suitable space for them. What about their coat colors? Both Maine Coons and 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 have pretty much the same possible colorations. Basically, all colors and patterns are allowed, with the exceptions of a few that show outcrossing. So whatever color you're into, you can get it, at least in theory, as some colors are harder to find than others. When doing my research, I read somewhere that most Norwegian Forest Cats are black or gray with white. I'm not sure if this is the case, but if you're a breeder, please comment down below. What about their coats? Both of them have incredibly dense and double-layered coats. They molt in the spring and shed when autumn comes. In my opinion, Norwegian Forest Cats look fluffier than Maine Coons, at least in their winter coats. Both of them have unbelievably bushy tails and regal manes to keep them safe from the cold. On the other hand, 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 tend to have even hair all around, while Maine Coons have longer fur on their stomachs and breeches. Maine Coons also have shorter hair on the shoulders. Here are two pictures of these cats side by side. Can you guess which one is a 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 and which one is a Maine Coon? If you guess the left one is a Maine Coon, you're correct. And just in case you're wondering, yep, these cats need to be groomed. They need to be brushed once or twice a week, and any mats formed need to be removed. So let's talk about what really sets them apart: their face structure. Even if you cannot tell right from the start, there are differences between a Norwegian Forest Cat and a Maine Coon cat. The face of the 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 looks like a triangle. The face of the Maine Coon is more like a rectangle. The rectangle is not perfect, though. The easiest thing to look for is the muzzle. Maine Coons have a strong, square muzzle. It's one of the top reasons Maine Coons are so famous, as it makes them look strong and confident. It's the main thing to look out for when you're trying to tell them apart. Even so, it may be hard to do at first, and you'll have to really pay attention. But if you practice enough, you'll get better. Furthermore, their profiles are different. In Maine Coons, there's a visible dip at the base of their noses. Their muzzles are blunt-ended. A Norwegian Forest Cat's profile lacks the pronounced dip. Their chins are slightly rounded. Additionally, their eyes are a tiny bit different. Let me tell you how. Both breeds have large, almond-shaped eyes set at a slightly oblique angle. However, the eyes of a Maine Coon are farther apart than the eyes of a 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿. Again, not an easy thing to notice, but hopefully it helps. Overall, the gaze of the Norwegian Forest Cat is sweeter and warier. The Maine Coon's look is bolder, so it's up to your preference. All eye colors are allowed in these cats. And another remarkable fact: 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 and Maine Coons can have lynx tips, even if it's not a must. Their ears, on the other hand, have to be hairy. History. This is where things get interesting. Both of them appeared a long time ago. 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 came from Norway and were featured in Viking legends and poems, which means they existed 1,000 years ago. Norwegian Forest Cats used to live, as their name implies, in the forests. Their original Norwegian name is 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿, which means forest cat. 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 have perfectly adapted to their harsh and cold environment. Their claws are so strong that they can climb rocks. Maine Coons, on the other hand, originated in Maine, United States. They are perfectly adapted to their climate too. There are lots of stories that try to explain their origin, and no, the raccoon one isn't true, but I wish it was. It's even possible that Norwegian Forest Cats are actually the ancestors of Maine Coons, making their ways on the ships from Europe. In truth, no one really knows how Maine Coons came to be. Both of them were prized mousers back in the day and highly appreciated as pets. Fun facts: 𝐂𝐴𝐧𝐬𝐿 and Maine Coons almost went extinct, but for different reasons. I explain all about this in my videos about them. What about their personalities? Both of these breeds are seen as gentle giants. Maine Coons and 𝐂𝐚𝐴𝐺𝐸s are moderate to active cats, loving and gentle towards their people. They may be shy around strangers, but are very good at detecting your emotions. They are family-oriented cats with just a touch of independence. They're big cats, but they prefer to chirp and trill instead of meowing. It's said that 𝐂𝐚𝐴𝐺𝐸s love tall places, while Maine Coons prefer the ground. But Maine Coons can love climbing too. I'm not going too much into detail. What I can say is this: both breeds are great cats. Don't worry, I have dedicated videos about these cats where you can learn everything about them. I talk about their wonderful personalities there. And now let's talk about their price. Maine Coons and Norwegian Forest Cats aren't cheap, as it's the case with every pedigree cat. The price for a Maine Coon varies between $1,000 and $3,000. If you want one, always get one from a respectable breeder. Avoid backyard breeders or kitten mills. You can learn why it's crucial in my 101 videos. Here's one thing that could pose some problems: their availability. If you're from the US, you won't have any trouble finding a Maine Coon. Sadly, 𝐂𝐚𝐴𝐺𝐸s are pretty hard to come by. Even so, if you really want one, you can make it happen. If you're from Europe, you should have no problem finding a Norwegian Forest Cat. If you can't afford one, think about adopting a cat instead. There is one last thing to consider: their lifespan. Maine Coons live on average 13 years, while Norwegian Forest Cats have a better life expectancy of about 15 years. In my opinion, 2 years is a pretty big difference, but these are just the average numbers. Many things affect a cat's life expectancy, one of which is their health issues. I cover this subject for each breed in my 101 videos, so I highly suggest you check them out. Feel free to check out the links in the description for some super cool stuff for your cat. If you like this video, please give it a like, and I'll make more of them. Subscribe if you haven't already, and see you in my next video!